right. Are you guys ready for some sports?
A little bit, man.
All right, here we go, Vic.
Man, I got you, man.
Ouch! That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Victor Allen's New Sports. That's right, his unique fan base view of sports, like none other. That's right, it's a recurring segment of the Morning Cover with Mario show. Written, produced by Victor Allen. Rub his head and take a wish. Now here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. Here's Victor Allen! Yeah!
That's a lot of yelling.
Yeah!
Man. That's a lot of yelling.
Yeah!
I'm about to apologize. To my Meerkat family. My network just stomped me out, and I'm gonna try to bring it back maybe in the next segment. My apologies if you're watching us or through packserial.mobi. Everything is fine. Your stream is doing fine.
Well, you know, we always have. Remember, we use the same stuff you all use.
Right.
You know, I don't want to give an endorsement.
Right.
We use the same carriers, paying the same. We got to watch sports too.
Yeah, and it goes like that. All right, here's what happened over the weekend, as far as my perspective, and not because it's new news, because you guys already know about that. I want to get into what they call historic upsets, and we don't really cover that much MMA, but I follow the UFC and the MMA, and I've always found myself saying, you know what? When the ladies are getting up and they got more than one big time contestant, you know, one that's going, we are battling. I'm going to show my age here. It reminds me of Ali, Frazier, Foreman. You had a number of people all in there, and they're switching out the fights. Well, you have, of course, if you don't know, Miesha Tate already took out Holly Holm, who actually took out Ronda Rousey. So who's next in line? Well, Miesha Tate will probably follow up with Ronda Rousey. Oh, so they're just going all over the place, and I'm just going, well, why am I looking at that one for the obvious reason, that fight? They're going to say, because you're looking at the women. And Miesha Tate is hot. But the one that got me is Conor McGregor. You talking about blowing the wind and the sail off of the hype. This guy was doing so much damage, talking about or acting out what he was going to do, that I said, oh, you know what? Let me tell you how bad this is going to be. This guy is so confident because the guy who's taking the fight took it on short notice in 11 days because the other fighter fell out. So when you go against somebody who's 19-10, then you're supposed to actually lay them out. Conor got busted. Roll up on the next picture, Mark.
Wow.
He got busted in the second round, and I'm going, so you took away everything that I thought was at least a half truth, that you basically really are as much as what you say you are. Now, I'm not disappointed, not really disappointed, because I just thought, man, it was easy. And let me say this. All I'm saying is that the type of fighting they're doing is typically what they're saying, they're Brazilian jiu-jitsu and combination. Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And boxing is usually the combination. I don't know why that's strange to me. Because Brazilian, they have Japanese over there, Right. Especially in fishing and stuff. Yeah, no, it's all about the graduation of the techniques and what they're using. And what you're finding out is, okay, this is where they come from. That's cool. I'm not telling you guys something you don't know already. Mark, I'm just tripping off of this. I'm watching the women fight. And the first thing that's running in my mind is cat fight. I'm turning to the MMA UFC fight before I turn to the WNBA. And I'm a basketball person. Where are you at with women's sports as a sport that you, even if you're not looking for it, that you tend to watch as far as the women participating in sports? Which one? Tennis? Boxing? WNBA? Legends League? You know what that is. Lingerie League. Which one? Where do you find yourself at?
Well, I feel like, unfortunately, that some of the newer stuff appeals to darker sides, and also there's the issue that, whenever you have something where concussions are so much a part of it, but still, in terms of your regular old male testosterone influence response, you got, what I'm saying, ladies, is sometimes we see things and we don't want to respond, but we respond anyway. We try not to. It's sort of like when you all wear that special push-up, and we're trying hard to ignore it. But sometimes these things, like, you know, hip-hop Atlanta and Hit the Floor, I'm just saying, there are shows that appeal to certain elements and we get caught up in them, like the old, what I would call the Jerry Springer phenomena. You know, you don't want to admit you watch it, but you're watching a bunch of it. So, no, I must admit, Vic, I do watch specific bouts, and I am very interested in seeing, you know, Ronda Rousey and Tate. I totally am interested. I hate to admit it.
Right.
But when I'm in my sane mind and the other head is in control, then I'm watching the NBA. I do watch some tennis,
but
I do watch some tennis, but right. I like WNBA.
Okay.
I do like WNBA.
All right.
I like women's basketball, college basketball too, but you got some real.
No, I got them. I'm just looking at how the headlines gravitate you, and maybe I'm just biased because I'm saying, well, why is it that this is gravitating so much? And maybe it's because the nature of the sport itself.
That's what I'm saying. It's appealing to a certain interest.
Yeah.
I'm a man and a heterosexual male.
Right.
And so I'm hardwired to respond to some of these things. That's why they do it in the truck commercials, right? They have the women in the tight cutoffs leaning all up against the car.
Right.
You know, that's because they know we hardwired.
All right. Move the picture down for a second, Mario. I want to roll on to something else because I want to get into this question. We already know that this picture is going to be updated because the belt now is over in Miesha Tate's shoulder. You just don't see it this way.
Yeah, looking good to me.
Right. Very nice.
Come and protect my ass. Right. I need me a woman that can kick somebody else's ass.
You know what? This is just wrong. This is just wrong.
Can you imagine that? Lady, what'd you say to me? Call my girl Zelda.
Let me say this.
Man's fucking with me.
That's wrong, man. But now check it out. I'm going to give you some background on Miesha Tate and Holly Holm as it relates to things that some of us didn't know. I knew a couple of things, but not everything. Everybody has their nickname. For Holly Holm, she was known as the preacher's daughter, and Miesha Tate was noticed as Cupcake. That was her nickname, Cupcake. So
I wonder why.
Don't even say it.
I don't understand that one.
Don't even say it.
Cupcake.
Couple of things here before I get on to this. The choice of where we think out of the big three here with the women, who's going to stand tall as they all are seemingly going to fight each other again.
Ooh.
Misha actually, she wrestled on the boys team in Central Washington University. On the boys team. That is her journey because she said, hey, look, I dominate the women. I'm joining the men's team. She also saved the life of her boyfriend's mom having an asthma attack. So she's that person that's ready to step up whenever it's given time. She has been labeled the most beautiful woman in MMA and also is a massive Seattle Seahawks fan. So that little bit about Miesha lets you know, okay, when Holly's time come again and Ronda comes again, we're going to do the same thing and say, what is the motivation that's getting them there and the type of fighter? And I'm looking at these three ladies trying to figure out, okay, looks aside, which they all are attractive. If you had to pick, because each of them now have losses, minimum one. Of course, Ronda and Holly Holm only have one. I believe Miesha Tate has a few losses on her record. In the end of the day, Mario, if you follow this sport, if you begin to follow it, who do you think? You think Ronda because she came in with 30-0 and just got caught lucky? Holly because she was just lucky to catch Ronda? Or Miesha because Miesha's been there going, I actually wrestle and box. So I tend to deal with a little bit more of the grabbing and holding and using all the techniques. Who do you think, man?
Wow. You know, that's a hard one for me, Vic. And a worthy task. And with some pondering, I would look very closely at these ladies and their very, very special skills.
Right.
But of course, there's always those hidden skills.
Right.
And we all know that we like the hidden skills. I think I'm going to go with Holly Holm, Vic.
Are you serious? So the person who just lost.
Yeah, because she's going to make a comeback.
Now, I want you to know something. She's only had...
What if she beats... Okay, wait.
She already beat Ronda. She's the one that upset Ronda.
But what if... What if Ronda kicks Miesha's ass?
It's a possibility.
Then now, Well, that would be she kicked the person's ass.
Right.
Who kicked her ass?
It's round robin.
Who kicked the person's ass? Everybody's ass getting kicked.
Right.
That's what you call multiple ass whippings.
Right. But
wonderful phrasing. You only get that here. I know.
That's just crazy, man. But in the public's eye, when Ali lost multiple fights or had lost to like Frazier or Norton or anyone like that, still the public moved towards Ali. Where do you think the public's going to land as what they call their fighter of choice between the three?
I haven't seen Miesha Tate in the close-up stuff talking yet.
Right.
The other, so far, what's amazing, Vic, I don't know if it's just me, but all the women way more palatable or nicer than the men at this.
Hey, look.
In some of the stuff I was hearing, people were humble.
Yes.
They were nice. They were not. I was like, kind of. It's just okay. So it wasn't what I was used to. There wasn't a lot of talking shit.
Right.
It just wasn't. So I was like, wow. Right. They sound like they respect each other.
They're friends
as athletes.
Yeah, especially Holly and Miesha because they come from the same circle. It's not a big circle.
Yeah.
So you have to look at Miesha and Holly. They're friends. They're really friends.
Now here's the thing too, Vic, and I appreciate it because they also all came from different types, modalities of doing this. I really think that people's skill set can change in this.
Right, I agree.
I mean, it seems like you could go get trained if you're one of these, because they're already in great shape.
Right.
But if you learn other methodologies or train, say you become better defensively or whatever.
Right.
There seems to be a room for some shifting based on, to me, the skill sets that they're using. Because that's kind of what you're seeing, too.
Right.
You're seeing jiu-jitsu up against judo and
judo
up against kickboxing.
And then kickboxing and boxing. So these categories that most of them implement. And they say that where you're at, just like with McGregor, you can see the boxing skills in it.
You got to have either a good right hook or you don't, right?
But that's the part that they say you're not, and this is why I understand. You're not prepared for all the different degrees of expertise. You're usually going up against somebody who's boxing when somebody else is saying, I'm about to do some judo or jiu-jitsu or kickboxing. All these areas is amazing to me that you have to pay attention to all these skill sets. That's why I like it so much. It's unpredictable. As traditional boxing, you're not using your legs. You're just using your two arms for the most part. So this is an interesting sport, especially with the women, because they haven't done enough fighting to get to what they call the issue of CTE, which we know it's coming. And it hasn't been progressed enough to turn around and say, well, they suffer through these same conditions. So in the meantime, I like this sport. I feel bad that I'm going after this sport that's really a little more violent.
Well, even that part, but it's amazing that they're actually giving us competitors that we like more.
Right.
Which is interesting. They do, and they just come off in a way that's just way more likable.
Right.
Wow.
All right, now I'm going to get to my quick Q&As as we roll down here. The quick Q&As is when you actually sit back and have only a few seconds to respond to the topic, and you basically have to sit back and go, okay, I need to know as much information.
No joy.
You just got to get it. The quick Q&As, the first one up. Warriors lose by 17 to the Lakers. They said it was historic, Mario. Was it historic or just another day that they got taken for granted?
Historic. It's historic no matter what, because based on the numbers, it's the biggest upset of all time in the whole NBA. Based on the numbers, how good a team, how good a team the Warriors were, and how bad a team the Lakers were by record now.
Right.
By their win and loss record.
Right.
By using that, it's the greatest upset in the history of the NBA. That's one of the things that they were announcing now.
I heard that, and it just didn't seem to register for me.
They showed the other games.
Let me tell you this. Is it by the point margin or just that they won?
It was based on the win-loss record. That one team's win-loss record versus the other one's win, that the separation of the records was so broad that only twice before in NBA history had a team with that bad a loss record beat another team with that good a win record. Only twice in NBA history.
And I agree.
Anything that came close, and this passed both of them.
when I looked at the record of the Warriors as they relate to their losses, none of their losses are against the top tier teams. All of them against the underperforming teams, coming off either back-to-back on the road because they're undefeated at home. So I almost went there and said, yeah, that's it, but it got caught short. And the reason why you could see the body language, you could see how the Warriors are playing. I even told somebody, I said, imagine you're trying to get motivated for a team that gives up more points in the NBA than anyone else. Are you really as motivated as you're going against the Cleveland Cavaliers? So no, I'm not taking away that it's not historic. I would have felt better if the Lakers were winning at Golden State. Then I could do it, because one of the games I'm sitting up here looking, I remember the Lakers' 33-game winning streak, when they got that busted, because it was just like they're going to keep winning, how huge that was. Even though the team that beat them wasn't a terrible team. Historic, I'm going to try to see if I can remember this and say, oh man, this was unbelievable. But there were other teams that beat Golden State this year.
Based on how they're defining it too now, Vic, because they're saying it's the difference in the records.
Right.
It's going to always probably have been a blip.
Right.
On the team that was a super team.
Right.
That loses that game. Just
Right.
like even in the NFL, right? You had some games this past season.
Right.
Where it was like that, a blip. But still, you know, in terms of history, well, there you go. It's the history. I think this one ends up being more historic because of Kobe Bryant. I think because of Kobe Bryant, it has a bigger place in history and in trivia, because people will love to bring this up and make it look bigger and better. It'll look better for the Lakers and Kobe with time.
Right.
The win will look better in time.
Right.
So I think that's because of but as a Laker supporter, because I don't know that I would call myself a fan.
Right.
As a Lakers supporter, it's nice to get those glimpses, at least what you could see would be the strong points.
Right.
Of what the fact that the Lakers' quickness, they have certain elements that forces a championship team to adjust.
I agree.
And that was the quickness, the scoring ability when they were using it.
Right.
Then again, that showed you at least what they have in store, Vic, right?
Right.
If they could just get them to focus and play like that.
And the only thing I did is that when Klay Thompson and Steph Curry,
0 for 8.
when they actually combined 40 outside shots and only make about 10
It was
to
some terrible
8. It was so was it as much about the defense? Yes, they played this defense of going out and picking them up, but everybody was missing. And I was going, and when that happens, let me tell you why they're all missing. They all partied the night before. Everybody was having an LA party the night before because all of them weren't hitting. So I'm not quite there because it wasn't as competitive as much as they were just missing.
You know
shots.
what? I hate to say it like that, but
I'm sorry.
okay, let me watch how I say this, because I don't know. But Vic, it seemed to me that the Warriors, even after they lost, were not as upset about this loss as they would have been. Didn't they seem like a little too willing in all of it? I watched it again late last night. And I said, wow, they didn't look upset.
Nope.
They didn't show to say, they were just comfortable. And maybe that has something to do with Kobe. I don't know.
And here's the thing. Imagine that you could rally around and say we implemented something. What I found is that the Lakers can go and have a scheme for defense. And I said, so let me just try to figure this out. You guys waited this long to get the scheme for defense because everybody was talking about it. He said, what are they doing? They're picking up Steph at the half court line and they're double teaming. I said, oh my God, I wonder if they did that before. They said, well, this is the only thing we can do. And maybe it'll disrupt the chemistry. It did. Yeah. It affected them. You get backdoored all day long with layups when you do that, though. That's what was happening. I
like what Byron Scott was saying, at least as the goal, right? To get them, you just want to be able to try to control the factors that you can, at least when the ball is in your hand, right?
Right.
Play your game.
Right.
It would need to bring the tempo down some.
Right.
And play a different kind of a game, but still, as a Lakers supporter, Vic, and I have been that way this past year. I said I still see some really good glimpses,
right,
of things to build on.
All right, going on to the next one. I see that, and I'm gonna remember this. Oh, maybe I won't. Anyway, let's go to Peyton Manning retiring, which he's already done.
Good move.
And best move, or the best move because Wonder if he says I got more in the tank, but right now the climate is not too favorable for me. Is it better to get out of here now? And or is it there's no team who's going to sign him to be their main or lead quarterback because of the age thing? You really don't sign a quarterback to a new contract at knocking on the door at 40 and say lead the team. Is it more of that, or more getting under the microscope of what they're going to do if he continues playing because of the alleged bad behavior while he was at Tennessee, and on and on and on.
Something I really like Peyton Manning. I respect his legacy. I think that those things are possibly factors, though, Vic.
Right.
Unfortunately, I do think that those allegations, both of the allegations, both of the sexual harassment while at Tennessee and the allegations of growth hormone, those do have something, I think, to do with it.
Right.
Even though I was just saying that's the best. It's poetic to go out after winning the championship. And
right.
That's what. And you're not going to get that. What's the chances of you going to repeat and get another Super Bowl win? So that means to me, if you can't get another Super Bowl win, and I think the odds against that have got to be, I know they can calculate that somewhere,
right,
ridiculous. Then no matter what you do, if you were to play again, it would be somewhat disappointing because it would have to be somewhat less successful.
Well, look at
season.
Well, and look at this. If you had to be on a team, if you're on Seattle, New England, or Denver, you're the teams that have visited multiple times in the Super Bowl. So being on a team like Seattle or Denver or New England is almost an assurity you're on the top teams that's going to return. None of them had back-to-back, but you probably will get there. Denver's in New England's seat, which New England was in Seattle's seat. Denver has a tight defense. They're going to get there if Brock Osweiler can actually develop his whole head around what Peyton Manning has delivered. Peyton did it with smarts and less with his physicality. But if he had to, I said, man, why would you leave this team to go somewhere else to try to develop when you really only have a year? It's not health-wise.
Because he's at the point where it's definitely declining skills and more injuries.
Right.
Hey, let's all look forward to Peyton Manning, the coach.
Right.
Because that's going to be, he certainly we're going to expect great things from him, Vic.
Okay.
And he could go on to have a stellar coaching career. What if he had one that even dwarfed his career as a player?
Well, if he's going to follow a model in the NFL, he's right next to the man, John Elway.
Exactly.
Follow him. All right, I'm going to go to this one. This is a real quickie. Yes, good or not, because we're based on time. Lovie Smith, former Tampa Bay coach, goes to college. He is now the Illinois University head coach. Is that the end of Lovie in pro football coaching? And the best of Lovie is going to come through coaching in college or at the university system?
I feel good about this in the sense that it might be a breath. Sometimes when you go back, if you have the right attitude because of the youth and the enthusiasm, the lack of the other things, it can be positive.
Okay.
Even though you don't see a bunch of coaches that do jump back and forth, you do have some that's done it.
Yes.
And so I think it could be a positive for Lovie. I think his temperament might work better at Illinois.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Quickie, that's a good one. Going to best ever NFL quarterbacks, the top three, and tell me if someone doesn't belong in the top three. Joe Montana, Tom Brady. It's almost universal. They say those two. Peyton Manning. Is there any other quarterback out there that can actually say, no, I'm included in this group in the top three?
Terry Bradshaw.
Mm-hmm. He has 4, right? 4
and
Super Bowls.
And his accomplishments specifically the way he did it. That's in the discussion.
So how come, this is what I want to get.
That's in the discussion.
Why do they take Terry out as a championship when the whole model of championships is what they grade greatness on for the most part? Peyton has 2. Terry has 4. Why is he getting bumped?
Because there's always been, and I enjoy Terry Bradshaw. I like him. The rumors that I have always heard is that he was never a smart quarterback. That's what you hear from a lot of sources. So
how many quarterbacks?
They throw that out there a lot, Vic. They don't even say it that way, right?
Right.
They say he's one of the dumber quarterbacks.
Some of the smartest quarterbacks come from higher universities like Vanderbilt, Columbia, all of them. Are those the quarterbacks we're comparing them to? Because he got 4 championships.
I think it had to do with, they talk about knowledge of football versus being able to carry out the play.
Right.
I think Terry Bradshaw, now I don't know this, because I remember, this is a man I truly enjoy.
Right.
And I enjoy what he did.
Okay.
But in some ways, I'm just trying to,
I think,
tell you what I've read, that he was an excellent soldier.
Right.
He carried out the plans.
Grassroots man.
Yeah, but they broke it down for him.
Right.
And they ran at the office, but that he was not a sophisticated type of football mentality, that he wasn't a student of the game. Whereas Peyton Manning is, I know, a student of the game.
And only has 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but it depends on what team. That's what I said. I don't know that's how you rank them. But Joe Montana and Tom Brady, again, if you want to talk about execution, then one Tom Brady is maybe slightly ahead of the other ones.
It is going to be hard for me to leave out a 4 Super Bowl champion individual.
Did I name the exact right person you were talking about? When I said Terry Bradshaw, was that exactly who you were thinking?
Yeah,
about?
That was
I didn't know that. See, you guys, we don't script this.
Yeah.
This is a true discussion between Vic and I.
Right.
I didn't know that you meant Terry Bradshaw, but that's the one who crossed my mind.
And I sit there and say this. First thing I'm thinking is age, because the quarterbacks we're looking at now are, with Joe Montana being back in Terry Bradshaw's years, he's a little bit before Joe Montana, I believe, starting, because he was in the 70s, like 76, 77. So I can understand that Joe Montana was recognized for his 4 Super Bowls, and I said, well, then Terry was right around that same period. They overlapped a little bit.
What about Greasy, too?
One, 2? I don't know. 1 undefeated.
See, undefeated season.
Yeah. See, I'm just saying, when you win 4 Super Bowls and they go, you're not even in discussion, I'm going, there got to be a reason. Maybe that's what you're talking about. All right, no problem. Let me go to the last one. Dwayne Wade recently gave a talk to students at Harvard Business School. Impressive or not?
I'm impressed.
There you go.
I mean, Harvard does that because why does Harvard does not do that because they want to make gifts to black athletes to have them come in.
Right.
They do it because part of what they consider to be the higher elements of the education there is your exposure to individuals, because you get to pick their minds and learn from them and understand their stories. So that degree of exposure.
Right.
So wonderful, wonderful thing that he would be considered that type. And he's a person that I really respect. So I'm happy for him.
That's it, my fellas.
Everybody.
Guys, that was it. Done.
Here we go. That's right, Victor Allen's New Sports. That's right. Every week, it's a recurring segment of the Morning Call with Mario show. Come and see it, written, directed, and produced by Victor Allen. That's right, you can get it here. Be part of the scene. Remember, you can rub his head and make a wish. The ladies have nicknamed him Sexual Chocolate, and it's more than just sports. Yeah. Yeah.